Today's discussion is about the Republic Act number 10668, the Customs Memorandum Circular number 77-2016, Joint Department Administrative Order number 001-2016, and Customs Memorandum Order number 16-2016, and how they are related to each other. First off, let's discuss about the Republic Act 10668, or an act allowing foreign vessels to transport and co-load foreign cargoes for domestic transshipment and for other purposes. For the Section 1, the Declaration of Policy, it is the policy of the state to assist importers and exporters in enhancing their competitiveness in light of intensifying international trade and to lower the cost of shipping export cargoes from Philippine ports to international ports and import cargoes from international ports for the benefit of the consumers. Section 2, the definition of terms as used in this act. Co-loading refers to agreements between two or more international or domestic sea carriers whereby a sea carrier bound for a specified destination agrees to load, transport, and unload the container van or cargo of another carrier bound for the same destination. Container van refers to a standardized reusable steel box used for the safe, efficient, and secure storage and movement of materials and products within an intermodal freight transport system, where the cargo carried in a container van can be moved from one mode of transport to another without having to unload or reload the contents of such container van. Domestic cargo refers to goods, articles, commodities, or merchandise which are intended to be shipped from one Philippine port to another Philippine port, even if, in the carriage of such cargo, there may be an intervening foreign port. Export cargo refers to goods, articles, commodities, or merchandise carried in foreign vessels and duly declared before the Bureau of Customs at the port of origin as cargoes for shipment to a port outside the jurisdiction of the Philippines. Foreign cargo refers to import or export cargo carried by a foreign vessel. Foreign container van refers to a container van, whether empty or loaded with foreign cargo which belongs to a foreign vessel. Foreign port refers to any seaport outside the jurisdiction of the Philippines. Foreign ship operator refers to a citizen, partnership, or corporation, whether foreign or local, owning or chartering a foreign vessel. Foreign vessel refers to a ship registered or documented in a flag registry other than that of the Philippines. Import cargo refers to goods, articles, commodities, or merchandise of foreign origin carried in a foreign vessel which are intended to be cleared before the Bureau of Customs for delivery to the port of final destination within the jurisdiction of the Philippines. Philippine port refers to any port within the Philippines authorized by a government contract to handle domestic import or export cargo. Port authorities refer to entities engaged in the development and operation of seaports, including but not limited to Philippine Ports Authority, Cebu Port Authority, PHIVDEC Industrial Authority, Cagayan Special Economic Zone Authority, Aurora Special Economic Zone Authority, Bases Conversion and Development Authority, Authority of the Freeport Area of Bataan and Subic Bay Metropolitan Authority, and lastly, transshipment refers to the transfer of cargo from one vessel or conveyance to another vessel for further transit to complete the voyage and carry the cargo to its final destination. Section 3, the scope of this act shall apply exclusively to foreign vessels carrying foreign container vans or foreign cargoes. Section 4, carriage of a foreign cargo by a foreign vessel. A foreign vessel arriving from a foreign port shall be allowed to carry a foreign cargo to its Philippine port of final destination after being cleared at its port of entry. Arriving from a foreign port shall be allowed to carry a foreign cargo by another foreign vessel calling at the same port of entry to the Philippine port of final destination of such foreign cargo. A foreign vessel departing from a Philippine port of origin through another Philippine port to its foreign port of final destination shall be allowed to carry a foreign cargo intended for export, and a foreign vessel departing from a Philippine port of origin shall be allowed to carry a foreign cargo by another foreign vessel through a domestic transshipment port and transferred at such domestic transshipment port to its foreign port of final destination. For purposes of this act, an empty foreign container van going to or coming from any Philippine port or going to or coming from a foreign port and being transshipped between two Philippine ports shall be allowed. Section 5, Authority of the Commissioner of Customs. The Commissioner of Customs, upon such reasonable conditions as may be imposed, may do the following acts: authorize the conveyance of foreign cargo brought from abroad by a foreign vessel, allow a foreign vessel to take cargo intended for export at any Philippine port and convey the same upon such foreign vessel to a foreign port, and authorize the transshipment of such foreign cargo intended for import or export through another Philippine port by another foreign vessel to the cargo's port of final destination, provided that such acts shall not diminish or impair any existing and valid government contract covering the handling of import and export cargo, provided further that the Commissioner of Customs shall have the authority to impose penalties to foreign ship operators found to have violated any provision of this act and to take measures to address illegal activities including smuggling. Section 6, Application of the Carriage of Goods by Sea Act. Carriage conducted in accordance with this act shall be governed by Commonwealth Act No. 65, otherwise known as the Carriage of Goods by Sea Act, with respect to the liability of the carrier for the loss of or damage to goods carried. Section 7, Carriage by foreign vessels not a public service. Foreign vessels not common carriers. Foreign vessels engaging in carriage conducted in accordance with this act shall not be considered common carriers as provided in Republic Act No. 386, otherwise known as the Civil Code of the Philippines. Neither shall such foreign vessels be considered as offering a public service and thus shall fall outside the coverage of Republic Act No. 9295, otherwise known as the Domestic Shipping Development Act of 2004. Section 8, Prohibitions. Foreign ship operators shall submit their cargo manifest to the port authorities to ensure that no domestic cargoes are carried by the foreign ship. No foreign vessel shall be allowed to carry any domestic cargo or domestic container van, whether loaded or empty, even if such domestic container may contain foreign cargo. Section 9, Fines and Penalties. The Bureau of Customs, upon due notice, hearing, and determination of the existence of any breach or violation of the provisions of this Act, or any rule and regulation issued pursuant thereto, shall impose a penalty or fine on any erring foreign ship operator in accordance with applicable provisions of the Tariff and Customs Code of the Philippines and other related laws. Section 10, Implementing Rules and Regulations. Within 60 days from the approval of this Act, the Department of Finance, the Bureau of Customs, the Department of Trade and Industry, the Bureau of Immigration, and all port authorities shall promulgate such rules and regulations necessary for the effective implementation of this Act. Section 11, Separability Clause. If any provision of this Act is subsequently declared invalid or unconstitutional, other provisions hereof which are not affected thereby shall remain in full force and effect. Section 12, Repealing Clause. Section 1009 of Presidential Decree No. 1464, otherwise known as the Tariff and Customs Code of 1978, and all laws, decrees, orders, rules, and regulations, and other issuances or parts thereof, inconsistent with the provisions of this Act, are hereby repealed or modified accordingly. Section 13, Effectivity. This Act shall take effect 15 days after its publication in the Official Gazette or in a newspaper of general circulation. Moving on to the next topic is the Customs Memorandum Circular No. 77-2016 and the Joint Department Administrative Order No. 001-2016. Now, why are they together? It is because the subject of the Customs Memorandum Circular No. 77-2016 is the DOF, DOJ, DOTC, DTI Joint Department Administrative Order No. 001-2016, otherwise known as the Implementing Rules and Regulations of Republic Act No. 10668, otherwise known as an act allowing foreign vessels to transport and co-load foreign cargoes for domestic transshipment and for other purposes. Pursuant to Section 10 of Republic Act No. 10668, the following rules are hereby promulgated. Section 1, the title. These rules shall be referred to as the Implementing Rules and Regulations of Republic Act No. 10668. Now for Section 2 of this administrative order, we may have recalled Section 1 of the Republic Act 10668. They're just the same because this order is in pursuant to Section 10 of the implementation of the rules and regulations of the previous Republic Act. Now for the Section 3, the definition of terms, We have the definition of terms. Now, some of these terms were already discussed previously, so I'm just going to skip those and proceed to the newly added terms. We have the break bulk cargoes, refers to those cargoes that are listed in a number of bills of lading, each consisting of different commodities. These include but shall not be limited to bag cargoes, crates, cylinders, cases, baskets, bales, rolls, drums, and such other like or similar types of packing, including vehicles, live animals, crated or uncrated fowls such as chickens, ducks, and the like, and other loose cargoes. Bulk cargo refers to liquid or dry goods shipped in bulk, not packed or bundled in separate units, including commodities that are loose or in mass and which are required to be pumped, shoveled, scooped, grabbed, or forked during loading or unloading. Domestic movement refers to coastwise and inter-island trade or the transport of cargo from one Philippine port to another Philippine port. The Electronic Consolidated Cargo Manifest or the ECCM refers to all house bills of lading of shipments consigned to the ultimate consignees degrouped or split from the master bills of lading of shipments whose consignees are nominal such as banks, forwarders, and consolidators. Electronic Inward Foreign Manifest or the EIFM refers to all master bills of lading of shipments consigned to ultimate and nominal consignees. Port authorities refer to entities engaged in the development and operation of seaports. Port of discharge of goods for purposes of this order refers to the Philippine port that is specified in the Electronic Inward Foreign Manifest or the EIFM, and Electronic Consolidated Cargo Manifest or the ECCM as the final destination of goods. Port of entry of vessel refers to the Philippine port of call of a foreign vessel. These shall be the ports designated as such by applicable laws or by the President in the exercise of his authority to open or close any port. Port of final destination of vessel refers to the last Philippine port of call of a foreign vessel to unload foreign cargo. Transshipment port of vessel refers to a Philippine port where a foreign vessel is allowed to unload or load, import, and export cargo before proceeding to its port of final destination, whether Philippine or foreign. Section 4. Coverage. These rules shall apply exclusively to foreign vessels carrying foreign container vans or foreign cargoes, whether containerized, bulk, or break bulk, under the following conditions. Any foreign vessel arriving from a foreign port shall be allowed to carry foreign cargo to its Philippine transshipment port or port of final destination after the vessel is cleared at the concerned port. Any foreign vessel arriving from a foreign port shall be allowed to carry foreign cargo of another foreign vessel calling at the same port of entry or transshipment port to the Philippine port of discharge of such foreign cargo. Any foreign vessel departing from a Philippine port of origin through another Philippine port to its foreign port of final destination shall be allowed to carry foreign cargo intended for export. And any foreign vessel departing from a Philippine port of origin shall be allowed to carry foreign cargo of another foreign vessel through a transshipment port and transferred at such transshipment port to its foreign port of final destination. A foreign vessel shall likewise be allowed to transport foreign empty containers for domestic transfer or for immediate exportation under the above conditions. Now for the Section 5 of this administrative order, it is still the same with the Section 5 of the Republic Act 10668, but in addition, the Commissioner of Customs is authorized to issue customs orders relevant to the implementation of these IRR, including among others the issue of overstaying cargoes after due consultations with other implementing agencies to ensure effective implementation of the objectives of Republic Act 10668. Section 6. Co-loading of import cargo. Import cargo as defined in this order shall be covered by the necessary import entry for consumption, warehousing, or transshipment in case of importation by accredited locators of Philippine Economic Zone Authority or PEZA and free ports, which shall be filed at the assessment office at the port of discharge, whether A1. Carried by a foreign vessel and unloaded at the port of discharge after passing through another Philippine port, or A2. Carried and discharged by a foreign vessel at a port of entry or transshipment port before being loaded by another foreign vessel and unloaded at the port of discharge. For purposes of the filing of the Electronic Inward Foreign Manifest or the EIFM, an Electronic Consolidated Cargo Manifest or the ECCM of co-loaded foreign cargo, the port of final destination shall be the port of discharge in the EIFM or ECCM. The original foreign vessel carrying the cargo subject of co-loading will submit the EIFM or ECCM to the Bureau of Customs at the first port of call or port of entry using the Bill of Lading Nature Code for transshipment. Likewise, the foreign vessel that will co-load subject cargo at the transshipment port will submit the EIFM or ECCM to the port of final destination using the Bill of Lading Nature Code for consumption. The arrastre operator shall likewise be furnished copies of the EIFM and ECCM. An arrastre operator at the port where the foreign cargo is unloaded prior to its transport to the port of discharge shall maintain an inventory record of foreign cargo subject of co-loading and shall ensure that the same are properly monitored. Arrastre operator shall periodically submit the inventory record to the Bureau of Customs and the relevant port authority. An arrastre operator shall provide adequate space in its yard for the temporary storage of foreign cargo subject of co-loading. Section 7. Co-loading of export cargo. Export cargo as defined in this order shall be covered by an export declaration and other necessary documents which shall immediately be filed in the first port of loading. A1 for immediate exportation by a foreign vessel whether or not passing through another Philippine port of entry, or A2 for domestic transfer and discharge by a foreign vessel to another Philippine port of entry before the same is loaded for export in another foreign vessel for delivery to the foreign port of destination. B. An arrastre operator at the port of loading where the export declaration is filed or the port of loading as a transshipment port shall maintain an inventory record of export cargo subject of co-loading and shall ensure that they are properly monitored. Arrastre operators shall periodically submit the inventory record to the Bureau of Customs and the relevant port authority. An arrastre operator shall provide adequate space in its yard for temporary storage of export cargo subject of co-loading. Section 8. Co-loading of empty containers. For purposes of this order, an empty foreign container van going to or coming from any Philippine port or going to or coming from a foreign port and being transshipped between two Philippine ports shall be allowed. Foreign vessels shall be allowed to load or co-load empty containers from any port in the Philippines to any Philippine port of entry for repositioning abroad or for use in the stuffing of Philippine exports, or when loading import cargo from the port of entry or transshipment port to the port of final destination, and when loading export cargo from the port of origin in the Philippines to another Philippine port where the same shall be immediately exported or utilized for the stuffing of Philippine exports. The Bureau of Customs shall issue a special permit to load for domestic movement with reference to the domestic leg in case the empty container is transferred from one Philippine port to another, and a special permit to load for immediate exportation in case the foreign empty container is loaded by a foreign vessel for immediate exportation. Section 9. Application of the Carriage of Goods by Sea Act. Carriage conducted in accordance with the order shall be governed by Commonwealth Act No. 65, otherwise known as the Carriage of Goods by Sea Act, with respect to the liability of the carrier for the loss or damage to goods carried. Section 10. Carriage by foreign vessels, not a public service, foreign vessels, not common carriers. This section is also mentioned in the previous Republic Act 10668. Section 11 as well. Section 12. Authority of other agencies. The concerned national agencies, bureaus, and other government offices involved in co-loading, namely Department of Finance, DOF, Department of Transportation and Communication, DOTC, Department of Trade and Industry, DTI, and Department of Justice, DOJ, shall continue to exercise their respective mandates and may issue rules and regulations in relation thereof, provided that it is exercised in accordance and consistent with the objectives set forth in Republic Act No. 10668. Section 13. Fines and penalties. The Bureau of Customs, upon due notice, hearing, and determination of the existence of any breach or violation of the provisions of this order or any rule and regulation issued pursuant thereto, shall impose a penalty or fine on any erring foreign ship operator or its agent in accordance with applicable provisions of the Tariff and Customs Code of the Philippines or any amendments thereof and other related laws. Lastly, the Customs Memorandum Order No. 16-2016 or the operational guidelines in the implementation of Republic Act 10668, otherwise known as an act allowing foreign vessels to transport and co-load foreign cargoes for domestic transshipment and for other purposes. Pursuant to Republic Act 10668 and its implementing rules and regulations, the following rules are hereby promulgated. 1. Objectives to operationalize Sections 6, 7, and 8 Joint Department Administrative Order Number 001-2016, implementing rules and regulations of Republic Act 10668, otherwise known as an act allowing foreign vessels to transport and co-load foreign cargoes for domestic transshipment and for other purposes, to lower the cost of shipping export cargoes from the Philippine ports of entry to international ports and import cargoes from international ports for the benefit of the consumers. 2. Definition of terms. For purposes of this order, the following terms are defined as follows. Co-loading is already mentioned in the previous discussion, so we have the recipient vessel, refers to the foreign vessel that agrees to receive and carry foreign cargoes from the transferor vessel to its port of final destination. Transferor vessel refers to the foreign vessel that transfers its foreign cargoes to a recipient vessel for co-loading. Coverage. These rules shall apply in connection with Section 6, co-loading of import cargo, Section 7, co-loading of export cargo, and Section 8, co-loading of empty containers of Joint Department Administrative Order Number 001-2016. Operational provisions. A. Imports. A1. Submission of Electronic Inward Foreign Manifest, or the EIFM. First, the EIFM submission shall be in accordance with existing regulations. It shall be submitted both in the transit port and to the final port of discharge, bearing the appropriate registry number of the carrying vessel. 1.2. The transfer vessel shall submit the corresponding EIFM at the transit port using Bill of Lading Nature Code 24 for its cargoes intended for co-loading. 1.3. The recipient vessel shall submit the corresponding EIFM for the co-loaded cargoes at the final port of discharge using Bill of Lading Nature Code 23. A2. Permit for co-loading. 2.1. The foreign ship operator or agent of the foreign recipient vessel shall request for a permit for co-loading to the Office of the Deputy Collector for Operations or equivalent office at the port concerned using the form attached as Annex B at least 12 hours before arrival of the vessel. The permit for co-loading shall contain the following information as prescribed in the format annexed in this order. So we have letters A to I. You may screenshot to know the information that is prescribed in the format in this order. The following document shall be attached to the permit for co-loading. So we also have from letter A to C. And then 2.4, the Office of the Deputy Collector for Operations or equivalent office at the transit port shall cause the manual discharge of the cargoes for co-loading pursuant to the Section 8.3 of this order. 2.5, approved permit for co-loading shall be sent via electronic mail and or fax by the Office of the Deputy Collector or equivalent office at the port of discharge to the Office of the Deputy Collector or equivalent office at the port of final destination immediately upon approval. The base service section, the foreign ship operator or agent of the transferor and recipient vessel and port terminal operator shall likewise be furnished a copy immediately. The permit for co-loading shall, as far as practicable, be acted upon by the Office of the Deputy Collector for Operations, Port Collector immediately upon filing thereof. 8.3 Manual discharge. The Office of the Deputy Collector for Operations or equivalent office at the port of discharge shall follow the procedure of manual discharge under the Bureau's E2M system for cargo subject of co-loading. The registration number and date as shown in the E2M manual discharge interface shall be the corresponding control number and date in the permit for co-loading. The online release system, or the OLRS instruction received with a port terminal operator from the Bureau shall be tagged as misrouted in their system so that gate pass need not be issued with the port terminal operator for such cargoes. 8.4 Arrival, discharge, and loading of co-loaded cargoes. 4.1 The transfer vessel shall submit the hard copies of the inward foreign manifest of the goods intended to be co-loaded to the customs senior boarding officer upon arrival in copies as prescribed by the current regulations. Likewise, it shall present the approved permit for co-loading and its attachments. 4.2. The customs senior boarding officer shall proceed with the discharging formalities as prescribed by current regulations. 4.3. The port terminal operator shall place transit containers together for purposes of accessibility. 4.4. The containers for co-loading shall not be included in the port terminal operator's automated system, such as terminal appointment booking system, gate pass, etc., since the containers are for temporary movement only. 2.7. The foreign ship operator or agent of the foreign recipient vessel shall submit to the base service section or equivalent office of the port or subport concerned a permit for co-loading using the form attached as Annex B at least 3 hours prior to its departure. The port terminal operator shall ensure that only cargoes indicated in the approved permit for co-loading furnished to them will be loaded at the recipient vessel. 4.6. The Office of the Deputy Collector for Operations or equivalent office at the port of discharge or loading shall send via electronic mail and or fax the discharge and loading report of the co-loaded imported cargoes within 6 hours after departure of recipient vessel. 4.7. The annexes in this order shall form part of the required documents of a vessel when arriving, discharging, or loading at a Philippine port and shall be submitted to the appropriate bureau office or officers as necessary. 8.5. Notice of discharge. On coming from a Philippine port and proceeding to another Philippine port, the foreign ship operator or agent of a foreign vessel carrying foreign cargoes to its final port of discharge shall submit to the base service section or equivalent office at the transit port or subport concerned the notice of discharge to its next Philippine port or call prior to departure using the form attached as Annex A. 8.6. Clearance of foreign vessel to a Philippine port. The Piers and Inspection Division or equivalent office shall issue a clearance of foreign vessel to a Philippine port upon submission of the documentary requirements prescribed by current regulations together with the applicable annexes in this order. 8.7. The Office of the Deputy Collector for Operations at Final Port of Discharge. The Office of the Deputy Collector for Operations at the final port of discharge shall inform the Office of the Deputy Collector for Operations at the transit port immediately upon arrival of the recipient vessel for foreign vessel carrying its foreign cargo to its final port of discharge. B. Export. Export cargo shall be covered by an export declaration at the concerned port of loading, whether or not passing through another Philippine port of entry or for domestic transfer, and discharged by a foreign vessel to another Philippine port of entry before the same is loaded for export in another foreign vessel for delivery to the foreign port of destination. C. Empty containers. C.1. For purposes of this order, an empty foreign container van going to or coming from any Philippine port or going to or coming from a foreign port and being transshipped between two Philippine ports shall be allowed. Thus, foreign vessels shall be allowed to load or co-load empty containers in the following instances. A. From any port in the Philippines to any Philippine port of entry for repositioning abroad or for use in the stuffing of Philippine exports. B. When loading import cargo from the port of entry or transshipment port to the port of final destination. And C. When loading export cargo from the port of origin in the Philippines to another Philippine port where the same shall be immediately exported or utilized for the stuffing of Philippine exports. C.2. The Bureau of Customs shall issue a special permit to load for domestic movement with reference to the domestic leg in case the empty container is transferred from one Philippine port to another, and a special permit to load for immediate exportation in case the foreign empty container is loaded by a foreign vessel for immediate exportation. 5. Boat note. The requirement for boat notes is hereby dispensed with for purposes of co-loading covered by this order. Administrative fee. An administrative fee amounting to 500 pesos shall be paid at the collection division at the concerned port. A copy of the original receipt shall be attached to the request of permit for co-loading submitted at the office of the Deputy Collector for Operations or equivalent office at the ports concerned. Penalty. There shall be penalty of 10,000 pesos for non-compliance of masters or agents of vessels with the requirements prescribed under this order. reports. The Office of the Deputy Collector for Operations or equivalent office and port terminal operators at the ports concerned shall submit a monthly report of all co-loading transactions to the Deputy Commissioner, Assessment and Operations Coordinating Group through the Director, Port Operations Service. All other import and export transactions not covered by this order shall be subject to existing applicable processes, rules, and regulations. 10. If any provision of this order is subsequently declared invalid or unconstitutional, other provisions hereof, which are not affected thereby, shall remain in full force and effect. All orders, rules, and regulations and other issuances or parts thereof inconsistent with the provision of this order are hereby repealed or modified accordingly. To sum everything up, all of these acts and orders are in pursuant to RA 10668 to transport and co-load foreign cargoes for domestic transshipment and for other purposes. The only difference is that the main focus of the administrative order is the implementation of the rules and regulations in pursuant to Section 10 of the Republic Act, while the CMO is about the operational guidelines regarding the allowing of foreign vessels to transport and co-load foreign cargoes for domestic transshipment and for other purposes.